Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder. Today we are diving into a real estate company's report and find out if they are building castles in the sky or if they are just building castles. This report is about Ares Real Estate Income Trust. It's basically an update on some behind the scenes contract stuff and some stock sales. We'll break it down without the confusing financial jargon so you can understand what's really going on. Before we start, if you appreciate getting straight insights from corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed. We also have a Discord community linked in the description below. Join to get even more insights on companies like this. First up, we have the Material Definitive Agreement. That just means they made a deal. This deal is about renewing their advisory agreement. Think of it like renewing a contract with the person who gives them advice on how to run the company. The company, Ares Real Estate Income Trust, basically decided to keep their advisor around for another year. The official name of the agreement is the Amended and Restated Advisory Agreement. They had a previous agreement called the Second Amended and Restated Advisory Agreement. 2024-4, that one was set to expire in April, so they made a new one that lasts until April of the following year. They call this one the 25 Advisory Agreement, 2025 Advisory Agreement. The main point here is they renewed the agreement. The contract with the advisor was extended. There were also some small changes to clarify what the advisor does and how they get paid. Nothing too major changed. Next, we are moving to the sales of equity securities. Equity securities in simple terms are stocks. Sales of equity securities mean the company sold some stock. This section tells us about those sales. It also says these sales weren't registered with the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC. That is only allowed under special rules. They sold these shares under something called Regulation D. Regulation D allows companies to sell stock without registering it with the SEC. But there are rules. They can only sell to certain types of investors and have to provide them with specific information. This is all legal and above board, assuming they followed the rules of Regulation D. Now, let's get to the interesting part, the numbers. They issued something called Class I par shares. They sold 787,621 of these shares. That's a lot of shares. From these sales, the company raised $6,301. That is the gross proceeds. That means the total amount of money they got before taking out any expenses. Some of these shares were issued through something called a distribution reinvestment plan. This plan lets shareholders use their dividends, which is part of the company's earnings, to buy more stock in the company. Finally, the report is signed off by Taylor M. Paul, Managing Director, Chief Financial Officer and Treasurer. This basically says that the numbers and information in the report are accurate to the best of their knowledge. So what does this all mean? The company decided to keep their advisor that gives them advice for another year. They issued a bunch of shares that raised a little over $6 million. In this case, the advisory agreement renewal means that the company is confident in their current strategy. If they were not, they could have switched their advisor. The stock sales show that the company is trying to raise capital. The fact that they sold stock without registering it may mean they needed the money quickly, or that they didn't want to go through all the red tape of a full registration. Ares Real Estate Income Trust is continuing on their current course. The renewal of the advisor agreement shows they are happy with their advisor. The stock sales show they are actively raising money. Whether these moves pay off in the long run remains to be seen. Alright, that's our breakdown of Ares Real Estate Income Trust's latest filing. What's your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord in the description. Thanks for watching and see you next time.